Men's and women's basketball hop onto the struggle bus with two demoralizing losses on the same night. Hello, I'm Steven Silvestro Jr.
And I'm Jake Smolinski. You may be wondering who that face was right before mine, and yeah, that's Steven. It's his first show on desk, and this is history happening in front of your very own eyes, in Technicolor, on cable, and you're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
We're packing 2 weeks worth of SportsLine action into one episode due to a poorly timed snowstorm. I'm looking at you, Winter Storm Nico.
But the weather could not keep us down for long, and I sat down with a breakout star rookie from men's water polo to talk about their historic season, and later we'll bring on Kyle McIntosh for this week's Explorer Report.
But first, let's get started with the SportsLine Top 3.
Ooh, this is Steven's first SportsLine Top 3. Very nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right, to start it off, number 1, women's water polo had their first game ever. Taking on Villanova on February 13th, it was quite a struggle with a 16-3 loss against the established Villanova squad. Go Explorers put a nice spin on the outcome, though, saying, quote, "The loss will be overshadowed by the overall historic significance of this event," unquote. And on the bright side, we got to see a Jen Farrament and Rachel Jimenez score 2 and 1 goals apiece. It's going to be an uphill battle, but I have faith in them.
And then on to number 2, we're talking 1952 and 1987 men's basketball teams will be honored before the St. Joe's game on February 18th before the tip-off as another slice of LaSalle history. And you know what? 52 was our Lord and Savior Tom Agola's premier year, taking an underdog team to the National Invitation Tournament. And they put LaSalle on the map with an unreal 75-64 win over Dayton, national champs, baby. And then 87 was legend Lionel Simmons' year as the Explorers embarked on yet another underdog run. And entering the NIT, they only had a 16-12 record, and they fought their way all the way to the final matchup against Southern Miss to be taken down in a heartbreaker. However, this wasn't the end for that squad, and the next 3 years had the Explorers with a 43-1 record in league play and consecutive NCAA appearances. It all started there, and hopefully we'll have another underdog season this year.
We can hope.
Yeah.
For number 3, Swimming World magazine named the 1650-meter freestyle races one of the 5 races to watch in the ATA Swimming and Diving Championships. The significance, Mathis Galensky was mentioned in the biggest threat to take the marathon of a race. One of our favorites people to have on this show, Mathis' personal best is 13 seconds faster than anybody else in this competition. The world is watching.
But that is it for our headlines, and you know what? Let's go on to some recaps. So first, women's basketball dropped their hot streak over the weekend with a loss to George Washington on Saturday, February 4th. Helen Stars will tell you how it all went down.
Women's basketball took on a tough George Washington team Saturday, February 4th at the Gola. The Explorers looked to be riding high after 5 consecutive victories, while George Washington had lost 2 of their last 3 games. The Colonials jumped out to an early lead, but the Explorers were able to hang in with a spectacular performance from Amy Griffin. Griffin put up nearly half of LaSalle's points going into the half and would continue to be an offensive force for the rest of the game. At halftime, George Washington's lead had been cut down to 5 points. In the third quarter, the Colonials seemed to pull ahead, outscoring LaSalle 25-16 to take a 61-47 lead. The Explorers caught fire in the fourth quarter, going on a 13-4 run to cut the Colonials' lead back down to 5. Freshman Sophie Wafong was critical in LaSalle's efforts, scoring a season high of 18 points, while Jasmine Alston tallied 9 assists. Unfortunately, the Explorers were not able to hold on as George Washington scored 6 unanswered points to put the victory out of reach. The Colonials defeated the Blue and Gold with a final score of 79-65. For SportsLine, I'm Helen Stars.
And following that tough home loss against George Washington, women's basketball hit the road towards Olean, New York on February 7th to take on the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. And LaSalle led after the first quarter, 16-14, but followed it up with a very weak second quarter, adding just 4 points in the entire 10-minute period. Fortunately for the Explorers, the Bonnies were only able to add 5 to their tally in the second, making it one of the lowest scoring corners I think anyone will ever see. And up by just 1 at the break, the Blue and Gold came out strong in the second half, outscoring the Bonnies 37-26 over the last 2 quarters en route to a 57-45 victory. Amy Griffin notched another double-double with 18 points and 11 rebounds in a must-win game for LaSalle.
Following a dismal loss to St. Joe's on Sunday, the women's team set off against St. Louis, and they almost had it. LaSalle and the Bellicans were at a back and forth, aided by who else? Amy Griffin, and key players from Miller and Lisa Minster. In the fourth quarter, with just 6 minutes left, St. Louis had just a 1 single-point lead, and Miller was good for a 3, only to be answered quickly by Amy Griffin with a series of placed fouls, and Bellicans helped to edge over LaSalle. The Bellicans jumped to second in the conference, claiming their 11th win in the conference, while LaSalle falls to the middle of the pack with just 2 conference games left in the season.
And then following up a big win against UMass, men's basketball headed out to take on George Mason on the road on February 4th. And sadly, the Patriots were on, the Explorers were not. Despite Price putting up 21 points without the backup of Pookie and BJ, who are out with injuries, the efforts of Stukes and Cleon would not be enough to take on the .633% from the field George Mason, who were on fire. And the Explorers dropped the matchup 95-75.
To swing things back on track, the men's basketball took on Fordham on an edge on the road February 8th for a 67-52 win. BJ Johnson came back from injured reserve and threw up 26 points. Price, however, struggled with only 6 points, but the supplementary plays by Washington, Stukes, and Roberts would be enough for them to hop back onto the winning horse. But, however, then they quickly dismounted this horse after a heartbreaking loss against Richmond on February 11th, shooting only 26% from the field in the first half. Nothing could pull them back into the 64-52 point loss. Helen Stars has the full breakdown.
Men's basketball took on the Richmond Spiders on February 15th at Tom Gola Arena. The Spiders were on an impressive streak, winning 3 of their last 4, while LaSalle was coming off a big win at Fordham. The Explorers got off to a slow start, shooting just under 30% in the first half. LaSalle put up 24 points and trailed Richmond by 6 going into halftime. Richmond jumped out to an early lead in the second half, adding 11 points to their lead. The Explorers answered with an incredible 11-0 run to tie the game at 45 with 10 minutes left to play. Unfortunately for LaSalle, Richmond regained control and never looked back. The Spiders went on a 17-2 run, led by senior TJ Klein, to put the Explorers out of contention. Klein put up 21 points and shot 9 for 13 from the field. Meanwhile, the Explorers committed 8 turnovers and scored only 7 points in the latter quarter of the game. BJ Johnson was the only Explorer to hit double figures, scoring 18, while Tony Washington went 4 for 5 with 8 points. The Explorers fell to Richmond by a score of 64-52 and now sit at 7th place in the A10. For SportsLine, I'm Helen.
Men's basketball hit rock bottom against St. Bonaventure on Wednesday, February 15th, when the first half closed and the score read 51-30. You could hear the entire men's team let out a collective sigh of defeat. Jordan Price still managed to put up 15 points, while B.J. Johnson put up 13. The Bonnies blew us out with a total end score of 83-65. Our record now drops to 8-6 in the A10.
And then we take a look over women's track and field, and they had a successful invitational at the Geigengak, where they picked up wins in 6 different events. And Monet just set a new school record on the 60-meter hurdles, just blitzed through the hurdles, clocking in with a time just under 9 seconds, beating the school record she set last year. And then Jessica Bryan also posted a new school record on the triple jump with a leap of over 11 meters. And then Bryant placed second in the event behind New Haven's Roxanne Redwood. And Ifateo Tyler continued her brilliance in the 1,000-meter, where she claimed the victory with a time just under 3 minutes. Morgan Zeckley also ran the 1,000-meter, where she finished in 9th, but Zeckley would also claim a victory in New Haven on the mile. And the junior finished the event with a time just under 5 minutes. Caitlin Poe has topped the leaderboard in the 3,000 meter with a time of just over 10 minutes, while Olivia Boyer claimed the victory in the 5,000 meter. And finally, sophomore Kalia Miller won the long jump with a 5.5 meter jump. Whoa!
The men's track and field team had quite a turnout in their past weekend as they competed in the 13th annual Guide and GAC Invitational. Leading the pack was junior Justin Greer, who placed first overall in the men's 200 meter, clocking in just under 23 seconds. In the men's 400, sophomore Isaiah Akil gave the Explorers a second place finish with just under 50 seconds. Another second place finish came from junior Dylan Titan, who competed in the 3,000 meter, crossing the finish line at 1 minute and 33 seconds. And lastly, for the men's mile, and filled out with blue and gold as Stephen Lewandowski has his way as third, and his teammate Bradley Hooer finished behind him in sixth.
And then men's swimming and diving dove into their last meet of the season on Saturday at the Villanova Sprint Fest. And Matthias Glenesk had a spectacular swim in the 650 free with a time of 6 minutes and 18 seconds, which was 10 seconds ahead of second place. And Glenesk also took the win in the 200 free. And teammates Alexander Nikolic and Norman Gregory competed in the 100 free, and Nikolic taking the win and Gregory right behind for the second. Then later in the day, Jakub Bartoszewicz and Cameron Fadley finished first and second in the 100 fly, with Bartoszewicz taking the first place spot. And then Bergman touched the wall first in the 100 back, and then second in both the 100 IM and 50 back, continuing a short distance winning streak. Last to finish out the day in strong and individual events was Christoph Ross, who clocked in first in the 100 breast. The Explorers team will take time to prepare for the Atlantic 10 Conference, which takes place February 15th in Ohio.
Last Sunday, both the men and women's tennis team went up to Bucknell University for another non-conference matchup. Francisco Maury had a strong performance defeating the Bison's Daniel Wright in a 3-set tiebreaker. Tomas Christian and Patrick Pasquale played but fell just short in their matches. The Explorers fell short in all doubles matches and lost 6-1. For the women, Allie Snyder and sophomore transfer Brittany Poe had a solid performance, starting off with a doubles win together. However, the Explorers lost both the second and third set in doubles match to lose the point. In singles competition, Snyder forced a third set but fell just short, and Poe also fell just short in a hard-fought matchup. The Bisons took this one 7-0. And wow, that was a long script. Yeah. When we come back, Jake sits down with Jeff Brady from water polo. Stay tuned.
The reaction never stops.
I love watching LTV News.
I love watching LTV News every Sunday at 10:30.
I love LTV News producer Dave Roberts.
Before I go to class on Monday mornings, I watch LTV News at 8 a.m.
I love watching Kirsten and Callie on LTV News.
Tuesdays at 10, we watch LTV News.
All right, and guess what? We're back, and we're breaking out one of our old segments that we've kind of let fall by the wayside, but get ready for an awesome conversation that I'm going to have with Jeff Brady. So you know what? Take it away, Jake. Hello, and welcome to another edition of On the Sidelines. I'm your host, Jake Smolinski, and I'm sitting down here with breakout star on the men's water polo team, Jeff Brady. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Jake?
Solid. All right, so just kind of start this off, as if people don't know, men's water polo, this was the inaugural season this year, and it's pretty much a team comprised of mostly, like all freshmen, underclassmen. Like, so tell me, what was your experience, I guess, coming in as a freshman to LaSalle and just getting on a team like that, and have that much playing time immediately?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, as you can expect with any team of all freshmen, we're gonna go through our ups and downs. Like, it's 18-year-olds coming together, college for the first time. Like, literally on our first day of college, we had practice. Our first practice on our first day of college as 18-year-olds. So, I mean, it was a struggle. Like, no one really knew what to expect. It was just a learning experience for everyone. A lot of growing throughout the season. It was definitely a growing season. Just going to take it for what it is. Yeah, but.
And so the thing is, though, like, it also was an extremely, I feel like it was a tough season, though. Like, where you guys had some really beautiful ups, like those like wins against like Villanova, Monmouth especially. And then, like, what was it like having, like, I guess, just some of these wins? Like, what were those like?
Well, our very first win, like against Monmouth for like our league and everything, that game was crazy. Won in overtime, came back after halftime after being down by like 6 goals. We really rallied the troops, and we just went back out there after halftime and just stuck it to them to prove that we weren't going to quit. I mean, that showed a lot of our team and our team's heart. Like, when we really put our mind to it, like, we have a really good team. And as for the losses, like, for any team, it's hard to lose. Like, it has a huge effect on morale and just like everything like that. So it's hard to lose games, especially when you're losing that many. But we knew that we were going to lose coming into it. But definitely wins like against Monmouth and Villanova, they were definitely good added to the season. Yeah.
And then there is the one infamous game, I got to bring it up, which is the Salem International game. Please just walk me through what was it?
So the Salem International game was not an actual water polo game. I would consider that more of a brawl between two teams. Yeah, it was just two physical teams that just weren't taking anything from either of the teams. So Salem would do something to us, and we give it right back to them. And the refs let it get out of hand, and by the end of the game, it was just out of hand. I think like 4 of our 6 starters were rolled, which is 3 major fouls, like where you're sent to the corner, and then 4 of our 6 starters had that happen to them. Like, a lot of their starters had that happen to them. There was like a combined of like 20-some kickouts in the entire game.
That's vicious.
It was crazy. And by the end of the game, like, no one knew what the score was. It wasn't a water polo game anymore. It was really just who could do worse to the other team. It's not one we're proud of, but we as a team, we decided we weren't going to let them just push us around like that. We were going to make a statement. So
yeah, and I feel like that's kind of what defined your guys' entire season, was just being a statement.
Right. Being
like this young team coming in and just really putting up a fight against some of these like really just brutal, like, I think you were talking about this earlier, was just the idea of being like, this is the first time you guys are being fully outsized and having to like learn how to play this.
Right.
Like, what was it like going against some of these seniors?
Yeah, I mean, some of these seniors on some of these teams are huge, like built guys, tall guys, like they're big guys, and we're 18-year-old freshmen coming in, like, haven't really been on like a weight schedule, haven't played collegiate water polo. Like, I mean, we were kind of just thrown into the pool, like, we were just a couple kids thrown in the pool and saying, here's your new team. They're all 18-year-olds. Like, good luck. I mean, that's kind of what I felt like. But I mean, we may do. We had a couple guys who were more physical and like knew how to play water polo, knew how to play against the bigger guys. And I mean, in the water, it's nice because you're all really the same size. Like, there's no height advantage. It's just how you play.
Yeah.
So it's just learning how to play against the bigger guys.
Gotcha. No, yeah, and it sounds like you guys really started to figure things out, especially by like the end of the season, and I can only imagine that transition. But first then, like, how did you end up at LaSalle?
So I went up at LaSalle because I went to LaSalle in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Calvert Hall College Prep.
And where's that at?
It's in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So I heard about LaSalle starting a Division I water polo program, and I knew, like, right away from the beginning of my searching for colleges that I wanted to play water polo. and I was looking at all colleges on the East Coast, like east of the Mississippi for water polo. And I had it narrowed down to like a couple schools. Like I was getting ready to decide between those, and then I heard that LaSalle was going to have a Division I team. So I came up here and I visited, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. It was the same feeling I got when I figured out which high school I was going to go to. It's just I knew I was going to end up being here, and I haven't regretted it ever since.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
And so I guess to kind of, finish out this interview then, like what are some of the things that you guys are looking forward to for next season? Now you guys are in the off season right now, but what do you guys have in store?
Right. I mean, we talk about this almost every day at the team. We're just really excited to get playing again. We got some good recruits coming in. We're going to add depth to our bench. We're going to add a couple of recruits who are going to be able to compete for starting spots. And I don't know. It's really going to the entire outlook of the season and the entire just how the team works is going to change the dynamic and everything like that. People are going to actually they're going to work hard, and you're going to have to earn your spot on the team and you earn your playing time. It's going to be a completely different game next season, and I think we're all excited for that.
That sounds like it's going to be absolutely wild, and
yeah.
I'm really excited to get out to some home games and everything. But yeah, so thanks, Jeff. It was great to talk to you.
Nice talking to you too.
Yeah. And that wraps it up for On the Sidelines this week. Make sure you're going to stay tuned for the men's water polo schedule. You're going to want to be there. It's going to be an event. So that is it, and back to the desk. Jeff, what a guy. Honestly, I'm just really excited to see the progression of the entire men's water polo team as a whole,
Yeah, we got 4 years with everybody on that team right now. Well, there's plenty of LaSalle sports action upcoming this week. Let us go to Kyle McIntosh for this week's Explorer Report.
Thanks, Stephen. For this week's Explorer Report, our LaSalle women's basketball team finishes off the season with a position battle to become ranked 5th in the A10 Conference, a rank held by Fordham University. The game starts Wednesday, February 22nd at 7 o'clock at the Tom Gola Arena. Our Explorers have a record of 15-11, while the Rams are 18-10. But what really makes their standings, but what really matters are their standings in conference play. The Rams' conference record is 9-5, while our Explorers are right behind them at 8-6. The stakes are high for both teams, as it will be their last chance to assert their dominance in regular season play and solidify their place in the rankings. Our Explorers has the best shooter out of the two teams, with junior guard Amy Griffin dropping buckets to the tune of 522 points so far. With Fordham's top scorer, Gamreese Davis, scoring 406 points. Griffin won't work alone out there when it comes to scoring points, though, as Adriana Miller loves taking three-point shots whenever she has a chance, having made 47 of them so far. Guarding the perimeter will be extremely important in this game, as most of Fordham's players love three-point shots as well, with their totals exceeding 150 shots made. If our Explorers continue to play strong defense, then we should expect to come away from this game with a win.
Dang. That is a pretty good breakdown right there. And honestly, I think this is going to be the most pivotal game of the season. And, we play UMass just a little bit before Fordham, but it should be a breeze. But what will be the most important, heading out of this one into Fordham?
I definitely think just playing good basketball, not injuring ourselves in this UMass game. I think this game's going to be a toss-up. They played pretty poorly there. They lost 11 games in conference play this season.
Yeah, I believe they're sitting right around at the bottom, and it just makes it kind of tough. It's one of those games that, but it would be a very LaSalle thing to lose that one game of the season, that huge upset. But I don't want to believe that it's real. But I guess this is just a completely different team from last year. You're seeing Amy Griffin absolutely killing it out there, but I seriously think the triple combination of Jasmine Alston, Amy Griffin, Adriana Miller, what do you think of that combination? What?
Definitely looking at their stats, they're really carrying this team from the point score to the rebounds. Everybody's touching the ball. Everybody's fighting for the ball, crashing the boards when they need to. I definitely think that those acquisitions they made are really good, because the record was 5 wins last year. It was terrible. But looking at the team now, it's that's definitely not the same team from last year.
Gotcha. I think it's just what honestly happened is that I think they finally just started gelling. Amy Griffin, I feel finally drifted into her role as a leader in a really, really positive sense. And it's just really going to be excited. And do you have anything else that you want to just throw in terms of the women's basketball team?
Go Explorers.
Oh, beautiful.
Beat Fordham. Win the championship. I expect to see that trophy here at LaSalle.
Very beautiful.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Thanks, Kyle. But now I don't even have a snappy introduction, so let's just roll into Picks of the Week. Pick number one, we're going to talk men's swimming and diving A10 championships, and I want Matthias, we want Matthias, you want Matthias, the world wants Matthias, and that's right, our boy is the 3rd seed going in, but he's going to be the angriest seed coming out in the 1650 free. You know what, that guy has the most impressive credentials of any A10 swimmer, and he's destined for greater things. An A10 champion title, he might hold that title once again. But on the same side, we got Dmitry Mladenovic, Fabian Bergman, and Dylan Urasits all going into their events as top seeds. And let's see if we can go from 3rd place from last year to quite potentially 1st. And that's got me really excited. And I guess like the hype around Matthias Glenesk, I'm going to try to cut this monologue for a hot sec. Stephen, what is your take on Matthias Glenesk?
I think he is definitely going into this one hungry. I think the entire swimming and diving, they're going into this hungry. Like, they were a little injured last year while they were going in. Now they got some new freshmen. They bring in some good big pieces, and they're all healthy this year. I think they can follow this up with a 1st place finish.
Heck yeah, totally. And then we are going to go on to pick number 2, baseball versus Butler. I'm just going to guess some sort of outcome. I don't know if it's a win, if it's going to be a loss, if it's going to be a tie, if just the game's not going to even be played at all. And because it's the season opener, and they're going to be down in South Carolina, hanging out, enjoying whatever weather South Carolina plans on having, and they're going to be taking on Indiana Mainstays Butler. No idea where we're going to stand on this one. We have a lot of pitchers. Don't know who they are yet. We're going to find out, but we're going to see what happens. And I'd like to see a win, but who all knows? It's up in the air. And the only big hitter we have is returning sophomore Brian to go. We're just a young team, and we no longer have Jared Malone, so I don't know. Then goes on to pick number 3, men's basketball versus Rhode Island. We need something. We are falling apart. Jordan, I love you. What is happening? Your field goal percentage looks a lot like the Krabby Patty formula, like when SpongeBob forgot it. I don't know, and it looks like we're going to wrap things up, so they just wrapped me up, and I need answers, and I can't handle this, and Rhode Island's great, and you know what? I'm not good right now, okay? I'm not good. And that's everything we got for this week, but before we go, I want you to take a look at this picture of me. Look at a delicate young flower. Now I'm a strapping, debonair, solid oak tree. Do you know what that means? No. But Stephen, I want you to take this invisible camera with me. Here, hold it. And I want you to point it at camera 2 and go, click. And remember this moment because there's no looking back now. You are now on SportsLine. So
that just about wraps it up for this week. If you can't make it to the Explorers Report game, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's competitions at goexplorers.com or check out this week's edition of the Collegian.
Also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. And you know what? For Helen, Kyle, and our entire SportsLine team, thank you. And Stephen, yeah.
I'm Stephen Sylvester Jr.
Yeah. See you at the game.